Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about Mission Impossible, more specifically Dead Reckoning Part 1. So, this was a film that's had a bit of production trouble. I believe it was filmed in 2019, and there was the now infamous moment that Tom Cruise had to go at a lot of the cast and crew that were working on there due to COVID restrictions. And I've seen a lot of people talking a lot of sort of crap about Tom Cruise in that regards, and I completely disagree. To be honest, as a producer of the film and as someone that takes his films very seriously due to the rules and regulations and even the laws, at the time he was following everything, making sure that everyone was kept safe. So although maybe sort of I personally wouldn't agree with that, he was doing everything to make sure that he was covered as well as everyone else's health and safety was put first. So I think I wanted to get that said to start with, because like I said, I don't agree with some of the things that have been said about Tom Cruise. So let's get into the film. This is, I believe, it's written and directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who actually has done the last two films. I think he was a screenwriter on Rogue Nation. I think he might have written and directed Fallout. So he is now the first person to have directed 3 in a row, because it was very much up until, which was it? Rogue Nation. Yeah, it was Rogue Nation where we'd had a director for each of the different films, and they all had their own kind of style. I still very much like Ghost Protocol. I think that's probably my favourite. I don't know why Mission Impossible 2 gets a lot of hate. I have a special place for that because I love John Woo. But this one feels different. Now, it might have been the fact that I saw it a very late showing of it, so that could have a part to play in this. But I actually thought this film was a lot slower than quite a few of the other Mission Impossibles. And everyone knows about the, I don't even know what to call it, this stunt, the bike riding over the cliff. We all know about that, but the thing about it is there's been so much hype about that stunt, and there's usually one stunt within the Mission Impossible films where they've had to do a lot to do with that stunt. There's so much focus on it, and I'm not necessarily the whole film is built around it, but it is like an iconic scene. I didn't feel that about that particular stunt, to be completely honest, because it was very quick, like just done. That's it. It is towards the end of the film, but there seems to be a lot more going on than that, and it's an incredible story about AI, and I think Hayley Atwell puts on a fantastic performance. She really does, and I can't even remember her name now off the top of my head. Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames are back, and they're the standard cells. They're really good. I want to say, was it Henry Czerny? He's back from the first one. We have a new villain in Gabriel, who for some reason I was very confused in the fact that all of the flashbacks very much looked like the first film, and it makes me want to go back and watch the first film again just to see if that was the case. I don't think it was, though. But it's a very entertaining film. It is, like I said, it feels a lot slower than some of the more recent Mission Impossible films, and not to its detriment. I actually really appreciate the sort of the thriller aspect of it, and you know, in a spy thriller, there is a certain amount of talking, there's a certain amount of exposition, and I don't think it failed to deliver, to be honest, with its action scenes and its overall plot, and especially with the fact that it's a plot based on an AI villain. It's something that seems very appropriate to the world that we're living in, you know, with all the sort of like the deep fakes and things like that. So it's very much on point. Tom Cruise, I mean, it's Tom Cruise at this point in time. I don't think he can't put on an incredible film. I think in terms of sort of the part 1, part 2 aspect, this feels more like a rounded film in itself than maybe Fast X or was it Across the Spider-Verse, where those had the kind of cliffhanger endings. This doesn't necessarily have a cliffhanger ending. There's definitely still things that need to be done and a continuation that needs to happen. But it also does feel like this not necessarily can be a film in its own right, but it kind of does have a beginning, middle, and end. There is that kind of roundness to it. So I think Christopher McQuarrie, the writer, has done a really good job. We're yet to see the second one, but he's done a good job in this one of presenting a film that can be viewed in its entirety on its own without needing the second part because of a cliffhanger. But I will say that I think what could potentially struggle for this is the timescale that we then see the part 2. With the actors and writers strike going on at the moment, and the rumours are that it's going to end, or it's going to continue for the entire year, it's causing a delay to Mission Impossible. Now, I know they originally wanted to have it scheduled for next year, but if the actors are going to be on strike for the entirety of this year, it could potentially cause a delay for 2 to 3 years. And I think that could be to its detriment, because if you end up having a film like this, that I don't know how much it's taken so far, but I would have thought quite a lot, considering Top Gun Maverick, I believe, broke $1 billion. I wouldn't see this as far off from that. And I think Paramount and Tom Cruise especially, they'd be looking to capitalise on this with the success, and they'd want to try and push out the sequel as soon as possible. So I think the strike could end up hurting this film. But it remains to be seen. Overall, I would say this is probably a sort of solid 7 out of 10. I wouldn't say it's my favourite out of the franchise. Definitely Ghost Protocol so far. But it is a solid film, very, very much fun. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the sequel. But guys, if you have seen Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, please let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because that really does help me out. And I'll see you all in the next video.